Welcome to today's Sustainable Living Festival webinar. Today's webinar is on EdITH, LES's Educational Interactive Tiny House. I'm Kelly Porter, Manager of Customer and Corporate Communications at Lincoln Electric System. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a couple housekeeping tips. We do have listen-only mode for you. So we want to make sure that if you want to submit a question, that you go ahead and do so using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We hope at the end of your virtual tour of EdITH that you are able to ask some questions about tips that you can do to be more energy efficient. We'll go over solar. We've got subject matter experts Jay and Jennifer to discuss those. So we'll go ahead and go over a quick video.
Have a signal.
Put together our interactive tiny house with the Career Academy, which has Southeast Community College instructors who oversee high school students. And so when we put together this build, we made sure that the students were provided some oversight on the construction, inserting electricity. The one little caveat about this tiny house is it does not have plumbing, so unfortunately you all aren't able to live in it, but we're pretty excited because this is something we're able to take out on the road, go to the communities, go to schools, go to events, and really just have a great time sharing a little bit about tips and programs that are available. So now I'm going to share my screen.
The partnership with SEC and TCA really provides a nice platform for the students to learn the construction process, as well as it gives LES a way to educate the customers and reach out to the community.
The Career Academy is for juniors and seniors in high school. They take college credit courses, have hands-on experiences, and then they kind of find their fit.
The Energy Services Group plans to use this as an education tool, and we plan to take it to some of our outreach events such as the Home and Garden Show, the Sustainable Living Festival. The tiny house will be able to tell the story of the Energy Services Sustainable Energy Program in the sense that inside of the tiny house there's going to be objects that are displayed of some of our current sustainable energy programs, so the customers will really be able to get that hands-on experience and education that we were hoping for.
What students learn from projects like this is they get an opportunity to find out what it means to work as a team. Because this was not just a one student deal or a one pathway thing. This was a community effort between LES and our students and also the community college, so they all got a chance to have their say, have their part in the final product that we see behind us.
The biggest eye-opener is because so many different people have worked on it, and I think it's a real-world experience. You might have had one person's group working on the floor system, another person's group working on the wall system. You have to work and problem solve around those things to make the finished product look correct.
My favorite phase of it was getting the doors on there to see what it really would look like from the outside perspective.
I love working with my hands. I don't like to sit down or like work in an office. It's really hard for me. I like how it keeps me busy. I like how I get to see things come together, build things.
This build definitely gave me more experience to see actually how things go in the order they go in and how things should be done. For our class, when we were building this tiny house, we all need teamwork, and that's going to help things get done efficiently and getting things done quicker. And there's some things during this build where you can't do it alone.
Local businesses and organizations should partner with the Career Academy simply because it allows them to provide exposure to students and their families about the different opportunities that students may have in a career or pathway field.
Both LPS and TCA, one of their goals is to have some really nice hands-on experience when teaching these students, and I think the tiny house was a great opportunity for them. And you know, without these partnerships, it really couldn't have happened.
So as you can tell, it was a labor of love. Excuse me. Okay. We are still setting up Edith. One of the wonderful things about a new trailer is she's a little bit finicky. So our crew, Jay Stoa, is an energy services specialist with Lincoln Electric System. He is our resident expert on all things energy efficiency. So those of you on the call that perhaps called for a home energy audit may have had the opportunity to work with Jay. What we will do is we will go into a home. They have equipment that they actually bring to determine heat loss, determine your insulation levels in your home. So the thickness of insulation, the type of insulation. They'll look at windows and talk about the different types of windows and some of the new energy efficiency opportunities out there if you were in the market to replace windows that are perhaps aging and letting some of that cold air in the winter and letting that nice cool air out in the summer. There's also opportunities that somebody like Jay during an audit could help a customer with, such as talking about caulking and how to seal and insulate your home a little bit better. So it's becoming much more energy efficient. Obviously, replacing old air conditioners and water heaters allow us to insert new technology. And so Jay and Jennifer will talk a little bit about our sustainable energy program. More information on that program is available at les.com/SEP. There's incentives available for customers, both residential and commercial and industrial. So we've had that program since 2009. Now, Jennifer Bangert actually has worked at LES for quite a few years, but actually had worked as more of a drafter. So working in our energy delivery group and then making the transition to an energy services specialist with our customer services division just a few years ago. So Jay and Jennifer will take EdITH around to, like I said, community centers, schools. They do a great job in just conducting audits and working through checklists to verify different programs or tactics that customers can use to really find some energy savings and therefore money savings. So while we wait for Jay and Jennifer to jump on, one more tip that we wanted to throw out there is we've got a couple polls today. We'll kind of test your knowledge of LES and some of our programs and potentially how much you can save. We will discuss a little bit about little things that you can do, such as smart power strips or smart thermostats, or big things such as rooftop solar. And depending on how that program operates, you could choose to do the rooftop solar, or we've got some alternatives that Jennifer will talk about as well for those of you that want to go green. Perhaps you're a renter and you're unable to put solar on top of your roof. Or perhaps, much like me, you have so many beautiful trees outside of your house that you have too much shade and you're just putting a solar unit on top of your home is just not an option. So I do want to just take a brief moment and check in with Mackenzie and to see if we are all set up with Jay and Jennifer to record.
You ready?
We are ready, but Mackenzie's going to have to take her background off.
Oh, that's you.
So we can see EdITH behind you, because right now you are too in the air. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jay.
Kelly, are you done talking yet?
I sure am.
All right. So my name is Jay Stoa, and this is Jennifer Bangert. Today we're going to, just a sec here, just a sec. Can you move 2 inches? Perfect. There we go.
We knew you were going to do that, Jay.
All right. We're going to give a walkthrough of EdITH today, our tiny house. We're just going to show you the displays and hopefully give you some energy saving tips along with our sustainable energy program. So since we're outside, I'm going to start out at the mini split ductless system that we have that's heating and cooling this. All right, so this, like I said, this is what we call a mini split or a ductless system. It's really gonna perform no different than your regular heat pump or air conditioner. The only difference is on the inside, there's no furnace or there's no duct work. And the indoor unit is usually gonna be attached to a wall that's gonna cool and heat this space. Jennifer will show you the indoor unit when we get inside. So this system here, actually what we're starting to see a lot more of these being installed. And where we're seeing them is if people are you know, adding onto their home, adding a room, and this allows them just to heat and cool that space. And it's gonna save a lot more energy because they're not using their whole house to heat and cool those spaces. One other area that it can be used, if you've got like a second floor home and only one heating and cooling system, really sometimes if you have a second floor, that system has a hard time maintaining the temperatures. And that's where people can install these and really save a lot of energy that way. These, along with air source heat pumps and air source air conditioners, can also qualify for a sustainable energy program. And that incentive can be anywhere from $200 up to $500. So while we're out here, one thing that I do want to point out, since we've had a really long, hot summer, one thing that you really need to do on your outdoor unit, something you need to think about is the unit is actually removing heat from the home. And this unit is running a lot. And what it's doing, it's blowing air across the coil, which is transferring the heat out from the home. Like I said, long hot summer, and these units have been running a lot. So it's a really good idea to check the outdoor coil just to make sure it's clean, because you're gonna get anything that's in the air. You're gonna get the dirt, the cottonseed. And if that does get plugged, your unit's gonna be running a lot harder than it really needs to be and using more energy than it should. So let's move on into Jennifer here. I'm gonna transfer the mic to her and she'll give you the.
So as Jay had indicated, there's two parts to a mini split. There's the outdoor unit and the indoor unit. Up here is the indoor unit, which it goes ahead and it distributes both the heating and the cooling in whichever room you decide to put that in. Below we have a display here of internet connected thermostats. Smart internet connected thermostats is a really nice, easy way to manage your heating and cooling use when it comes to, you know, maybe being away from your home or whatnot. All internet connected thermostats have an app that you can install on your cell phone, so that if you're away on vacation and you decide to stay maybe longer than you had anticipated, or maybe the same way if you decide to return home earlier than you thought, you can control your settings of your temperature right from your phone. Also, our Peak Rewards program is ran by internet connected thermostats, and the Peak Rewards program is designed to shift load in the summer months, June through September, on those hot days in the summer, kind of that 4 to 6 o'clock time. And there's 7 brands of thermostats with many models that are actually eligible for the program. So if you are thinking about purchasing an internet connected thermostat, or if you already have one, there's a good chance that it's eligible. So what does our customers get as far as an incentive when it comes to the Peak Rewards program? When the customer signs up, they get a $25 Amazon gift card, as well as at the end of each season, they will get a $25 bill credit. And that bill credit is going to be just a line item on the bill in that either November or December billing period. Now we're going to move over to the Smart Power Strip. The Smart Power Strip, like this one here, is not only designed to protect the devices that are installed, but also it's a way for customers to save energy. The Smart Power Strips, they can actually detect if a device of some sort maybe is in what we would normally see on a standard power strip as the standby mode. It's going to completely cut that power so that there's no energy being used. The other thing that's nice about these power strips is they can be, you can control them by some of the other smart devices that might be like the little Googles, which we have demonstrated here, or an Alexa. So that's another nice thing about these. Now we're going to turn it over for a polling question that Kelly's going to do on heat pump water heaters.
Yes, so I am back with a poll. We're launching the poll now. And the question for all of you listening is, if an energy efficient heat pump water heater is installed in your home, replacing an electric water heater, what percentage of energy savings could be expected? Now we have a couple more people who are submitting. They're really calculating here how much savings they could expect in a typical home. Just maybe a couple more votes coming in now. We're almost there. All right, we'll go ahead and polling. So the majority of you said 35%, well, by one, I guess 35%. The answer is actually up to 50%. So these little puppies are pretty energy efficient. We have some incentives actually for the heat pump water heater. Now until the end of the year, there's a $300 federal tax credit, as LES provides a $500 incentive for qualified units installed this year. So it has to be in 2020. Okay, so we did see those results. 35% had that, or sorry, 46% had at 35%, but the answer is 50%. So now we'll turn it over to Jay.
All right, so we're back in the tiny house here, and we just have a little demo of what a heat pump water heater looks like. So if you think about it, if you looked at the 2/3 down here, that's going to look exactly like an electric water heater. We're still going to have the electric heating elements, but on the top unit, this is where the heat pump is. So what the heat pump is going to do, it's actually going to take heat from the surrounding air, and then it just transfers the heat into the tank, and it's going to heat the hot water for us, which is going to be a lot more efficient. I guess one way you can think about where is the energy savings, if you think about the electric water heater, for every unit of energy that you use, you're going to get 1 unit of heating out of this heat pump, or excuse me, an electric water heater. The heat pump, for every unit of energy that it uses, you're going to get 2 to 3 units of heat. And that's where the energy savings is going to be, like we said, it's potentially going to be up to 50%. From here, we're going to walk on over to our other display. We're going to go to Windows. So one thing you need to think about on Windows, we have a little sticker here that says 25% of your heating and cooling is usually going to be through your windows. Excuse me, is going to be through the windows. And the important thing, if you're building a home or thinking about replacing windows, you don't necessarily have to replace windows, but sometimes you do. You really want to get a high efficient window. And what a high efficient window, they're going to be a low E. And basically what low E means, there's a reflective device that's in the window that is going to allow less heat to come through the window. And during the winter months, it's going to keep the heat in. During the summer, it's going to keep the heat out. So these high efficient windows are going to be multi-paned. And in between the panes is going to be like an argon gas filling. And what that's going to do is slow down the heat transfer. So they're very energy efficient. But let's say you don't want to replace your window. Really the things that you need to look at and check probably annually is going to be the weather stripping. So when you're closing the window, you want to make sure it has a tight seal. And then on the outside of the window, you want to make sure that the caulking is filled in all the way around the window, just to reduce any of that potential for air infiltrating in. So the next thing you can do, say during the winter months, you can have a blackout curtain. So a blackout curtain is going to block any of that heat coming in, and you're just going to reduce or minimize the solar heat gain, which you get that solar heat gain, your air conditioner has to remove that. So the energy savings is going to be there. So our next display is going to be our low flow plumbing fixtures. So this is on a kitchen sink, but really the main area where you can really save on energy is going to be like a low flow shower head. So one thing to think about low flow shower heads, the standard rate for a shower head is 2 gallons per minute. A low flow, or excuse me, is 2.5 gallons per minute. A low flow is going to be rated at 2 gallons per minute or below. So one way to think about this, if you have a family of 4 people that showers every day for an average of 6 minutes, a low flow shower head, if you drop it down to 1.5 gallons per minute, you're going to save about 8,700 gallons per year. And then the cost of that water, you're going to save about $45. And then in water heating savings, you're going to save about $55 per year. And that's just one fixture. So purchasing low flow fixtures is going to give you a lot energy savings down the road. Now I'm going to transfer the mic over to Jennifer, and I'm going to reach out 6 feet.
Thank you, Jay. So many times when customers come to us and they want to know where should they start at when it comes to making their home more efficient, we tell them to start with things that are simple and then work your way up to the more maybe in-depth projects that would make your home more efficient. So the first thing that we tell them is lighting. So our display right here is a good demonstration of that. We have 3 different types of light bulbs. We have the incandescent, the compact fluorescent, which is the middle one, and the bottom one, which is the LED, but it looks very similar to the shape of an incandescent. The incandescent here is 60 watts, whereas the LED, which is on the bottom and the most efficient, is 9 watts. So your eye is going to see the same lumens output and the same brightness. However, it's way less energy being used once you transfer over to the LED bulb. So that's an easy way for customers to start making their home more efficient and save money. Now moving over to the induction stove. The induction stove looks much like a regular electric cook stove. However, it is a little bit different. So an induction cook stove, like when you put a pot or pan on there, it is going to heat up the actual surface of the pot and pan, not necessarily the air around it. So doing that is going to heat up the pan 25 to 50% quicker, which means the food is going to take less time to cook. Also, like on a standard electric stove or a gas stove, if you were to wave your hand over the top of the burner, you would most likely burn it. But if you do that on an induction stove, if you were to remove the pot, put your hand down, you're not going to burn yourself. So there's also the nice safety as well. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jay to talk about insulating. And again, we're doing this at 6 feet.
All right. So this display, basically what we want to show people is what you can get in wall insulation. If you see here, fiberglass bat, bib, and then closed cell foam, it's good, better, and best. So when you look at insulation, it is rated in R value. One way to think about R value is the resistance to heat flow. So the higher the number, the more efficient or the less heat that is going to be transferred through the insulation. So along that line, one thing that we want to talk about is for those homes that are older, we have our sustainable energy program. So if you have an older home where you have no insulation in the wall cavity, or if you have minimal or 6 inches or less in the attic insulation, we do have our sustainable energy program where we can provide funds to upgrade that level to not only, so the insulation part is part of the home. Air infiltration is going to be another part. So our program, we do require what we call a pre and post blower door test. And that kind of tells us how leaky the home is. And on the pre, you can identify those areas. One thing like on attic insulation where you have recessed lights, that's a great source to have a lot of air infiltrating. So our program, we're measuring that, and then the insulation contractor is going to seal around and eliminate any of that air infiltration. I believe with that, we are done, and then I'm gonna go back outside, and I believe Kelly has another poll we're gonna do.
I sure do. You know how much I love polls. So we're launching a poll right now. This one, true or false? LES currently has a community solar farm. Wow, they're coming in hot. All right, there's a couple more. Right now we're at 86 who say true. Oh, 13 false. All right, we're ending that poll, and it is true. So we do have a community solar farm, but I'm gonna follow up with the next poll. And the next poll is, how much solar energy does that solar farm generate? 2 megawatts, 3 megawatts, or 5 megawatts of direct current? All right. Give you a couple more seconds to turn in those votes. Looks like we have the majority of them. So, oh, one last one came in. We'll end the polling, share the results. 5 megawatts DC is the answer. So the majority on the call on our webinar must know a little bit about LES's community solar project. A couple years ago, we built that. It's actually visible from I-80 on the northwest side of Lincoln. So it's a wonderful project. We'll talk a little bit more here with Jennifer. So let's go ahead and turn it over to Jennifer.
As Kelly had indicated, we do have a solar farm west of town, and you can see it from the interstate. The solar farm is a great way for our customers that maybe don't have the space on their property, or maybe they have too many trees, to participate in some sort of a solar program. So how the virtual net metering project works is a customer can purchase anywhere from a half of a panel all the way up to 80% of what their home energy use would be. So unlike the virtual net metering program, we have the net metering program where customers would actually install the solar system on their home or on their property. So that could be ground mounted or on the roof of one of the buildings or home. And with that, then there is a bi-directional meter that is actually placed in the meter socket of that on that property, and it's going to measure both the use of the home as well as the output of the solar system. And then at the end, both of those programs are going to have a line item on the bill indicating how much use the solar, how much solar that system has produced. Now I believe we're going to turn it over to Kelly for Q&A.
Okay, so we have several questions in here. Mackenzie's actually gonna help me a little bit. She's on site with the trailer. And so we do have quite a few questions that were either pre-submitted. Mackenzie, let's go ahead and have Jennifer cover a little bit more about the mini split and wondering if it drains exterior.
So is the question about energy efficiency on mini splits?
Yeah, energy efficiency on mini splits.
Over here? Okay, so really with the mini splits or the ductless type systems, for the longest of times, or probably for the last 10 years, they're using a compressor that is usually going to be a variable speed type compressor, which is, and the condensing unit and the evaporator fan on the inside. So it's only going to use a certain amount of energy to heat or cool that space. So that's probably the main area where we're going to be receiving that energy efficiency on that type of system. We do start to see a lot more of those units being installed on air source heat pumps and air conditioners though too.
Thanks, Jay. Okay. we'll just go into the next question that was provided. Is it easy to swap out a regular thermostat for a smart thermostat?
As far as swapping out a thermostat, it really is fairly easy. I did it at our house myself without too much assistance. But all the wires are color coded, so it's very easy to follow the diagram that's provided in the instructions. Other than that, you just got to make sure that everything is programmed correctly.
Okay, and again with Jennifer, if I participate in Peak Rewards, what can I expect will happen when LES wants to run a demand response event?
So once you are established in the program, there will be some sort of communication that is either on your thermostat itself, and some of them are mobile apps. It will send out a message 2 hours ahead of time to let you know that there's going to be a peak a peak event. And with that, 2 hours prior to the event, we are going to pre-cool your home by 3 degrees. And then during the event itself, which will be 2 hours later, we will basically shut off your units until the event is over.
Great. All right, back to Jay. Does the mini split need an exterior drain?
I'm not sure what the question is.
Yep. Does the mini split need an exterior drain?
Does it drain outside?
Oh, thank you. I thought you were saying grade, and I didn't. So actually, this unit here, where the unit goes through the wall space, there is a condensate tube that is going outside, and it's when you're basically, yes, you still need a condensate tube to remove that humidity when we're dehumidifying through the mini split system itself. And if you were to actually look under here, we do have a bucket underneath, and it is going through the tube. The condensate line is going to the outdoors. And if it's interior, they'll just have to feed it through to a drain of some sort.
Great. The next question I can actually answer as the person who handles a lot of our education and outreach. The next question is, how do you use this EdITH or tiny house? Where can we find it, and does it have its own web page? We plan on, once this pandemic is over, of rolling this out safely in our community as we go into the green in our community. So we hope to have it at events like Streets Alive, our own live event like the Sustainable Living Festival, and any schools that provide a request for maybe some major events that they're having. It does have its own webpage, les.com/EdITH, EdITH. The next question, and I know Jay and Jennifer, you can't hear me, so the camera crew will probably have to help you with this, but does LES plan to build more wind turbines? So do you know if we have any plans in place?
No, and I think if you listen to prior webinars, we are part of the Southwest Power Pool, and we don't have any plans to construct any more wind generators that I know of. That might be a question that we can put out later, but at this point in time, we have contracts through the Southwest Power Pool where we're getting the wind generation.
Great job. Great job. One last question that was submitted is, if we do not have access to install a smart AC/heater at our place, what is the recommended temperatures and at what times we should be setting our thermostat to throughout the year? So I think they just want to know, hot and cold, where should the setting be on the thermostat?
So what we've always recommended and told our customers is that during the summer, you should set it at 78 degrees, and in the winter, you should have your thermostat set at 68 degrees. If you do have the ability to maybe do some sort of a setback when you're not at home, maybe more to save energy, you can go ahead and do that.
Great, great. I'm going to throw my own question your way. When we talk about equipment, there's something called SEER. What does SEER stand for?
So a SEER rating, so a SEER is a rating on an air conditioner and a heat pump on the cooling mode. And what SEER stands for is Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. And so so let's say if you buy a standard air conditioner, the minimum efficiency is going to be a 13 SEER. And on a heat pump, it's 14 SEER. One thing that I do want to stress about our sustainable energy program, we are looking at the SEER rating, but we are also going to be looking at the EER rating, and that's energy efficiency ratio. And getting back to the SEER rating, that's just a rating how the air conditioner is going to perform throughout the year. The EER is going to tell us how efficient it's going to run with an outdoor temperature of 95 degrees. So with our program, the minimum requirement on the EER is 12. And then once again, depending on how efficient the system is, the incentive can be anywhere from $200 up to $500. And that's going to be the 500, obviously, is going to be the more energy efficient system.
Great. Thanks, Jay. Well, that concludes all of the questions that have been, we've got Julian with one final question. Can you describe the method of cleaning my outside AC unit to keep it working efficiently?
Oh, how do you clean it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually what people or what contractors will do is they'll get water. Obviously, they're going to shut off the power, and then they're going to clean the outdoor unit with maybe a hose. You don't want to have too much water pressure because you do not want to bend the fins on the outdoor coil, but you just want to sweep it down to get the dust, the debris, the cottonseed off the coil. And if you're looking at your coil, you can really tell when they're dirty. You can even take a shop vac out. If you don't feel comfortable with water, you can clean it off that way. Or if you have a light brush, you can clean it off that way also.
Great. Well, I tell you what, that covers all the questions that were submitted. But if any of you attending have some burning questions, you can always connect with us at Lincoln Electric System or follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That we provide some great tips. You can connect with Jay and Jennifer just by calling our main line or visiting our website. So thank you to Jay Stoa and Jennifer Bangert for joining us today, and to EdITH, of course, for allowing a virtual tour. We are recording this. It will be available for playback at les.com/fest. We've got a couple more activities to round out the week of our 10th annual First Digital Sustainable Living Festival. We're so stoked that you guys could make it with us today. And when we close out of this webinar, just ask, you're going to end up with a survey. Take a few moments, give us your feedback, let us know how we can improve on these online educational opportunities, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much, and bye, Jay and Jennifer.
Thank you.